Back to my channel. Wet hair, don't care. I meant to blow dry my hair before this video, and I have less than an hour before my brother and I start playing video games, so I don't have time to blow dry my hair. So roast me in the comments down below. I'm actually going to ask you to roast me later. So today we are doing my 2024 project pan finale, and then I'm going to talk about why I'm not going to do a project pan this year. Not specifically, like I'm still going to try to pan products and use products up, but I'm not gonna do like monthly updates or anything. This is kind of also a goals for usage of all my makeup. I'm gonna wing this video like I wing every single video, so give this video a like, dislike, subscribe. Let's go ahead and get rolling. Let's start. So I started my project pan in September. I was originally not going to do a project pan last year, and then through my low buy, I realized that I needed to do a project pan, that it was just something that I felt needed to do. So I incorporated my project pan into my low buy, and then I said in my low buy, my first low buy no buy finale video, that I was going to make these videos two separate things. So early in December I had full intentions of continuing on with my project pan, but I'm not going to do that. We're not doing that. So this is a finale to this September. We start next September, October, November, December, this 4-month project pan. We're calling it good. So let's talk about the products that I used. And I didn't have a lot of products going into December. I had some goals, and let's just say I only met one. So starting off with the ColourPop Pokeball lip mask. I said I wanted to use this up because and it is used up. I mean, there's like a smidge left, but it's not enough to coat my lips, so I'm calling it empty. And my goal for this was just to use it up. It's a fine lip mask. I think you can still purchase it. I'm not going to repurchase this. My goal for this is to use it up because like the center of the Pokeball doesn't line up perfectly, and that annoys me. So I'm going to clean this off and then super glue it so where the Pokeball button is lined up, and I'm just going to use it as a fidget toy. So I reached my goal in that. When I brought it into this project pan, I started off with 27 uses, and then it took me 64 uses total to use this up. Next, we have the CoverGirl Outlast Extreme Wear Foundation, the red cap one. My goal for this was to use it up, and I have no idea. So there is some windowing on the side, and so we can argue at the end of the windowing that we have this left. I used it a total of 65 times. I started the project because from the beginning of the year I used it 13 times prior to entering the project, and I used it a total of 65 times since when I wrapped this video up, and I am ready to put this foundation away. I think if I was only using this foundation, I could have used it up, but what ended up being the problem with this is that it's too light for me. I think the formula is really good, but the product itself is too light. So what I ended up doing, I originally in this project pan had the Jason Wu BB cream. I used that up pretty quickly, but into panning that, I started mixing it in with this, and that created the perfect color. So once I used the Jason Wu BB cream up, I then started using my Urban Decay Face Bond foundation to mix with this, and that created a beautiful combination. It was the perfect skin match for me because the Face Bond foundation is a little dark, it's a little too neutral. I'm more of a cool tone girly, so that created a perfect combo. But because this is full coverage, I didn't want a full coverage look. I wanted more of a medium, but then by adding the Face Bond foundation, it ended up being full coverage anyways. So I used maybe half a pump every time I use this foundation. Maybe half a pump. I was using a very small amount, so if I was doing a full pump 65 times, I maybe could have used it up, but because I was using such a small amount, just not gonna happen. I am putting this away. I'm going to do a vanity shop my stash sort of video. It's gonna be really short. I'm literally just gonna show you my vanity and call it good. but this is not remaining on my vanity, so I'll go into details when that time comes. Next, we have the Ofra Samantha March highlighter. I had already hit pan on this highlighter, and my goal for this highlighter was just to expand the pan, and I think I did that. At least in the first videos, the first pictures that you'll see that I expand the pan, but as I expand the pan, like the edges of the pan are really thick, so I started focusing my brush over there where it was really thick. And then some days I was doing more of a pinky look, so I was focusing on the pink part of the highlighter. Sometimes I was doing more neutral look, so I was putting it into the golden champagne part of the highlighter. So I really, especially the last month, I wasn't really focused on expanding the pan. I was just focused on using it. So before bringing it into the project, I had only used this 7 times this year, and then by the end of the project I had used it 40 times. So total, I used this highlighter 40 times this year, and it is staying on my vanity. We'll get into that in another video. Next, we have my goal of, this was my December goal, I just threw in, was all of my Super Shocks. I had 9 of those, and my goal was to use, theoretically, my goal was to use each one of them 2 times, but also saying that if I could use, maybe I'll use like Lady Bird 4 times and just count that towards the total. I only did this 11 times, and the reason why was I was just having fun reaching towards my single shadows. I have my Super Shocks like over here, and I look at them and I just see, I'm like, I don't really want to do a look with them. I just don't feel like it. And I had other singles I wanted to play with. I could have used Ritz as a topper several times. I think I did use Ritz as a topper a time or two. And then had to declutter the shade I Heart This, which is from the Of Quartz line. It was this really nice bronzy color. I tried using it one day and it was completely dried out. Completely. I was like digging my finger into the pan. I could not get any product out. So I did have to declutter that one. So it brings my total to 8 Super Shocks, which for being like a Super Shock diehard girly over the past few years, I don't think that's a bad total. And when November everything always comes back to Elf. When ColourPop did their BOGO eye and lip sale, I was looking at Super Shocks and I was like, it's a BOGO, let's look, see if I want to pick one up. There was not a Super Shock that I wanted to pick up in that BOGO, so I skipped on that. I did declutter 6 or 7 Super Shocks last year, ones that had been in my collection that were really old, and then specifically the shade called Bay, which was, I thought was going to be a black, but it had like some green and red shimmers into it, and from the get-go it was just incredibly dry. It was like I Heart This, but from the get-go, so I decided to let go of that one. And so I didn't reach my goal on this, but I also really wasn't putting in much effort to do that. Next we only have 2 more. By the end of this project, I started this project with like 10, and then the note just got really absurd and I didn't start a new page in my notebook every single time, so it just became cluster mess, and I was like, I don't know what's still in this project. I don't know what's still not in this project. So let's go with Persona. That's a problem. That's a problem. Where is it? Next we have Persona Bubble. Before entering this project, I had used Bubble 77 times because it was in Deca Panning. My goal for Deca Panning was to use that 50 times because that was my low buy goal for all my blushes. And then I just kept using it. I use it as so much that I had to dig it out of the component and I put it in this CoverGirl pan. I did not use this up, but we made some good progress on it. I had some of the product around here. I used that up. Now this is a very thick layer of blush, very thick. So we have a long way to go. By the end of the year, I had used this blush 121 times. 121 times. So I haven't used this up yet, but we're gonna get to it by the end of 2025. Hell or high water, this blush will be empty by the end of 2025. And I only have 6 cream blushes. Just by vaguely looking at my blushes, I think I only have 6 cream blushes, and all of them are very different. I have 7 cream blushes. All of them are very different. They serve different purposes in my collection. Bubble was sort of my go-to when I'm a cool tone girly. I do a lot of cool toned eye looks, so Bubble was sort of my go-to cream blush for most days because it just complemented my eye look. Today I did not use Bubble because it didn't complement my eye look. I do want to make a habit of every single one of my videos, we're gonna do a side tangent of what's on my eyes, because sometimes I do get comments on my eye look, and by the time the video goes up, because sometimes I film weeks in advance, and posting only 2 times a week is a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing that I don't put so much pressure on myself to film more than 2 videos, and I'm not good at coming up with content, honestly. So it's really good for me not have to keep forcing myself to upload more than 2 videos a week, but it's also a problem. How is it also a problem? It's also a problem because sometimes the videos go up 2 or 3 weeks after I film them. So when I do get comments on what my eye look is, I've already forgotten the palette. So I used Beauty Bay Wilderness palette today, and I got this nice warm toned mustard eye look. I don't hate it. I used mattes today, so I had to use an eyeshadow brush, and I think it turned out pretty nice. I used NYX Sandstorm for a lip liner, and then the ColourPop Glossy Lip Stain and shade Sugar Snap for my lips. So a nice warm toned eye look. Really enjoyed it. Lastly, we have the Will Never End lip liner, the shade from NYX Natural. This is how much we have left. This is it. I think this video is going up 2 weeks from filming it, so if I waited a week to film this video, this will probably have been used up. But I wanted to get this video out of the way because I really have no intention of working on any more of these products. So I probably can use this up. By the time this video goes up, honestly, this lip liner will probably have been used up. It is getting harder and harder to sharpen it, so I can maybe sharpen it one more time before I have to say goodbye to it. Maybe one more time. If it becomes too much of a pain in the butt to sharpen it again, it's going in my little empties box. I know I said in like my last video that I hate doing empties videos because I don't like watching them. I'll probably still do an empties video at the end of the year. Probably. So NYX Natural is on its way out. Those are all the products that I had been working on this project pan. So I am not doing a project pan specifically in 2025. I said in my deck of panning finale that I was going to continue deck of panning next year, but I'm not going to do that either. And the reason why I'm not doing deck of panning simply is because that doesn't get a lot of views. It is like the worst performing videos on my channel. I have a lot of fun filming those videos, but they don't get views, and even for being a tiny channel, I still have to strategize which products get to, or which videos get to stick around. I still want, I think I heard the rule like years ago that like your number of subscribers, you should get 10% of that as views. So I have about 600 subscribers. I average around 60 views per video, so I'm really good at being consistent with that 10%. Deck of panning is like 5% of my channel. So that's like half of what my average generally is. So I don't want to just do deck of panning. Even though I kind of enjoy it, like I said, I really enjoy it. I do enjoy the format of it, but just views wise, it's not getting a lot of feedback. I'm not getting a lot of views on it. So for that reason alone, I'm not going to do deck of panning. What I am going to do coming into this year, tea break, I'm going to do in 2025 is not do a formal project pan. There are still products that I want to work on and still use it up, but I don't want to do it in a formal video. Another option for doing like a project pan but not a project pan is doing like the 2025 products that I want to use up in 2025. The number gets bigger every year because every year it's like we started in like when I was like watching YouTube in 2016, it was like 16 products I want to use in 2016. Then it became 20 products I want to use in 2020 and 2024. I was like, I don't think there's enough makeup in my collection that I want to specifically say I want to pan in 2025. I just don't have enough. I don't have a big collection for like normal people, I have quite a big collection, but in terms of like having a certain amount of products that I want to pan in a year, I don't think that's enough. And I'm elaborating, hinting at Shop My Vanity, what my vanity is looking like, and I pretty much have all of my makeup in front of me except for foundations and concealers. I have and found like foundations, concealers got put away, and eyeshadow palettes got put away. Everything else is easily accessible on my vanity. So towards the end of my project pan, I was just sitting around looking at my vanity. I was like, what do I want to pan? Do I want this? Do I want to do that? I don't know. Dang it, there was a lipstick I could have used today. That would have been perfect. Dang it. So everything I have pretty much is in arm's reach, because I had the problem of having 34 blushes last year and 4 I didn't use once. So my low buy goal last year was pan or 50 uses in a blush. And that meant that a lot of blushes were getting 50, 60, 70 uses. For Bubble, 121 uses. That meant I was losing out on not using other blushes. Granted, I normally use 2 blushes a day, so I will use like a cream blush and a powder blush. That's generally how I do it. But some days I'm using my Hourglass Ghost Blush Quad from 2018, which is a palette that's still kicking, still working strong. So I use it not maybe 3-4 times a month, but I'm still using it. And those blushes aren't considered in my blush inventory. They're just considered in face palettes. So, and when I use that palette, I'm using like almost every single blush in that palette at once. I just take my brush and just swivel all of them around just to get all of them. So there are some blushes that are in face palettes that I'm not counting that I use relatively frequently. So there's no products that I specifically want to try panning. My goal for next year or this year is just to get consistent use out of the makeup I do have. I do want to I do want to use up 3 bronzers this year. And those are, let me dig them out. It's the ColourPop matte bronzer in the shade Avila Beach. I used this bronzer rarely at all last year, and my excuse for that was because I wanted to use it up in 2025. So I just wasn't using it in 2024 because I wanted to make it a 2025 goal. I do want to use this up in 2025 because it's a very warm tone bronzer, more of a neutral, more of a contour girly. But there are days where I do a makeup look like this where I need a warm tone bronzer. This is just hella old. I can't tell you when I bought it, but I know it's really old. And it fits the bill for a warm tone bronzer. So as I'm going through my eyeshadow palettes this year, I do have a lot of warm tone palettes. Don't like that I have a lot of warm tone palettes, but I do have them. So this is going to be a nice complementary blush when I do warm tone looks. Going to deck of panning, which this product was going to be moved into if I was doing a 2025 project pan, but it's not being moved into it because I'm not doing one, is the Kaleidos Contour Trio. I used up the finishing powder very early last year. My goal in deck of panning was to use this bronzer entirely up, and as a bonus was to hit pan in the contour, which I have done. I don't have numerics for this bronzer, but I have used this since deck of panning and it's gotten quite a lot of use. So my goal is to also use up this bronzer. When I kept seeing updates for this, I told myself that once I use up the bronzer, I will justify repurchasing this trio because I do want to retry the finishing powders. I didn't like it as an under eye setting powder last year, but with the Hourglass Dragon Face Palette, I've come to like finishing powder, so I was like, let's give it another try. But what I'm going to do instead is, because the contour does have pan, but it's baby pan, I'm not going to consider repurchasing this until I've used up both powders. I can definitely use up the bronzer this year. The contour, I don't know. But once my no buy is up, and I might be doing research before my no buy is up, but once the neutral bronzer is complete, I will be looking for just a singular cool tone bronzer. So I might So during my no buy, I might be looking into that, doing a little bit of research, because I do think this is a quite perfect neutral bronzer, but I don't want to repurchase this specifically until the contour is used up. So, and then I want to use up ColourPop, their stick bronzer, their stick cream bronzer, and Laguna Beach. I simply want to use that up, which is gonna take like all year because I miss the Milani cream bronzer so much. I like the Milani cream bronzer so much more than Laguna Beach. Milani cream, it's just, the Milani Cheek Kiss bronzer is just on another level. So I wish I didn't repurchase, so I wish I didn't buy Laguna Beach, just so I could justify buying Milani. But I want to use up Laguna Beach so I can repurchase that. But I'm not repurchasing Milani, A, because I'm on no buy, but 2, they're very similar in tones, so I don't see the point in having Milani and ColourPop. So those are the 3 bronzers I want to use up. Foundations, I do want to use up as many as possible, but the first one I'm going to focus on is the Merit Complexion Stick. If I can only keep one bronzer in my collection, it's going to be this. This is going to be the bronzer I use for the foreseeable future. And once I use it up, if I use it up during my no buy, I'm going to be so heartbroken. So incredibly heartbroken if I use this up by the end of my no buy. So I will have to reach into other foundations. If I use this up, I will have to reach into other foundations. I would like to finish more than just this one this year. Maybe the CoverGirl. But with the CoverGirl, I pretty much also have to use Urban Decay Face Bond. So if life works out, I'll use those up at the same time. So I do plan on hopefully doing that. The e.l.f. Soft Glam Foundation I also want to use up this year because I don't like it. But I bought it. I want to use it up. I don't want to declutter it. Once my no buy is up, and if this is entirely empty, I will be repurchasing this though, because this is the only stick I want to use. And then the other thing is on the table for maybe emptying, it really depends, is the e.l.f. Potty Color Corrector. This is my concealer that I use with the Merit Complexion Stick, and I hit pan on it early last year, and I don't know if I want to use this up or if I just want to use it until Merit is used up and then I just pitch it, because this is also really old. So this is sort of like an honorable, we'll see how it goes. But other than that, I really don't have any specific products that I want to pan this year. There's just, if I did a project pan, it'd pretty much just be blushes. And I don't want to do that. Lip products, I did declutter a bunch of lip products a few days ago. And I will be filming a decluttering video showing all the products I did declutter. But those were products that I had either not used at all last year or I used once or twice, and I was just looking at it. I was like, I'm not using this again. So I decluttered a lot of lip products last year or this year, and I did that. So what I do have lip products wise, I don't really have a goal in wanting to use up any of them because I use them, so I use them infrequently. I don't use them infrequently. I always bring a lip gloss, a lip oil to work with me to reapply throughout the day. But let's be real, I only reapply my lip products once, maybe twice. My goal is to use it once because I bring it with me to work, but sometimes it's the only one. So it takes me a long time to go through lip products, even lip glosses and oils, which are very easy to reapply. You don't need a mirror for, but I still don't really reach into them. And then I look at eyeliners and other things, and it's just like, I don't want to incorporate into a project pan. So I do have goals for using up makeup this year. I'm just not going to come back and do updates on it. Maybe I do want to, if I empty a product, I do want to come back and tell y'all that I emptied it. But I don't know if I'm going to save that all for the end of the year. I don't know if I don't know. A lot of the videos I'm filming right now, everything's very up in the air. I don't know what I want to do in terms of updates. But this is a long rambling project pan update. Those are some goals I have for the entirety of the year. I have maybe another project panning like video that I want to film, but that's about it. So lastly, I need y'all to roast me, because I need to up my YouTube game because I just sit down, post like this for every thumbnail, and then I just take a screenshot of that, upload it into my free video editor, which I should probably start paying for so I can do more with it, throw some text on the screen of the picture, and then I call it good for a thumbnail. I don't do anything in terms of like editing these videos. Like if I stumble over words, if I just need to redo a part of the video, I will do that. But in terms of, I am so not skilled in my editing and photoshopping. I'm so not skilled, and I haven't put any effort to learn. So I need y'all to roast me, to tell me what you want to see better on my channel, audio wise, visually, thumbnails. I need y'all to tell me how I can do better, because I really have no idea what I'm doing, and I really have no idea. I have no clue. And when I try to look up tutorials like in my video editor, it's just like, you can do all these things in this video editor, it's limitless. And I'm like, I'm getting overwhelmed. A YouTube video tells me I can do it like this, and then I try to do it and everything goes wrong, and then I get frustrated and then I quit. Even putting up pictures on the screen, like the video on the editor, it just puts them right in front of my face, and then I'm like, how do I move it off to the side? Oh, I have to do it like this? That's way harder than it was in my previous video editor, and I don't know what's going on. So roast me in the comments down below. Tell me how I can improve everything. I technically have a mic on my camera, but I don't know if the mic actually works or makes a difference. So anyways, that's it. Thank y'all so much for watching today's video. Like, dislike, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. As always, have joy and bye.